and it's supposed to be somewhat, non-profit, etc.
I feel like, I don't know, just talking to you, it feels like you're kind of taking a hiatus somewhat from...
I'm just thinking about stuff.
Yeah, but just, I have the Into the Wild soundtrack playing in the back of my head when I'm talking to you. You've been consumed and been part of the machine, making things happen all these years, and maybe you feel like you were part of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and
indeed.
now you want to step back and see, okay,
or at least
what can I
rethink
do?
my ways, or our ways. Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Yeah, that's super interesting, man. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to Hyperfocus. Today, I am joined by a special guest, somebody that I have actually wanted on the channel for quite some time. Alex, welcome.
Hello, thanks for the invite.
It's super great to have you here. Alex describes himself as a digital architect, a visual creator, artist, and a dreamer who's always looking towards the future. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I would say I'm much of a dreamer. You know, my mother named me Alexander because she would have seen a movie, like a 60-70 movie, black and white, Alexander the Dreamer, and I think she did call me like that because I was so late to get out, get born, and that kind of theme of me being a dreamer has stuck with me ever since.
Okay.
Kind of. I always was Alexander the Dreamer, and so up until this very day, I'm dreaming of the future, of ideas, of visions, any kind of scenarios.
Cool. I mean, that leads us quite nicely into the topic of this video, and we've talked about this off camera, but today we get the chance to go on camera and actually explore a little bit. So a bit more of a conversational piece today, if you want to call it a piece, video, artwork, the artist in the house. And one of the things that we have talked about is, are we free in a digital world? And I find that super interesting, and you have a certain perspective on it. So maybe you would like to explain a little bit what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's a very broad topic, but I'm very much interested in that. And being such a dreamer, I'm also interested in any philosophical topics such as this one. And I just read this article from a German philosopher who basically states that digitalization in the end will rob us of our freedom. He's kind of describing it as a threat more than a beneficial thing to the society. And he's probably more from a, let's say, conservative angle. So he would mix up certain things, meaning digitalization, social media, mobile phones, which should maybe not be mixed up like that. So we can still distinguish between those things. But I found that kind of thesis interesting. So is it like that? With the continuous development of our digital world in all areas, there's this whole, thing we now call digitalization that kind of change in society, humanity, technology, etc. Is that really leading to us losing freedom instead of giving us more freedom? And
I mean, when you talk about freedom, what do you actually mean by freedom? How free am I outside of my digital sphere? Is it freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of expression? What is it? How do you differentiate between the outside world and the digital world?
Well, in this case, I would refer to that article, and then it's about any kind of freedom, and especially the flexibility and being an autonomous individual person that can be also is supposed to do whatever they want to express themselves freely, and also to to get access to certain things, may it be healthcare or even food, of course, banking, entertainment, whatever you want, culture, in a very free kind of manner, and in that article, that the author would describe it as only a person who's able to live in, let's say, analog life is the truly free person. So only if you are able to live an analog life, then you are basically free or naturally free.
But I mean,
and that is kind of, that would.
I mean, we throw these terms around a lot, right? So digital and analog as being two polar opposites, but is it really that black and white?
No, it's not. I don't think so. But it's still a very interesting thought. I never really thought about it like that. There are people, I think, that written books about it, or there's documentaries on this, with the continuous progression and development of the digital world. But I never really thought about it like that, and I don't see it as black and white for sure.
Okay.
But still, I mean, isn't that a bit of the truth? What does happen if we lose access to, let's say, our current digital identities? Meaning, I don't know, it may even be the YouTube account or the whatever account, may be the whole mobile phone, banking, Apple Wallet, and things like that. Mm-hmm. What does actually happen once we get locked out of it? And do we lock ourselves in? I mean, are we actually becoming prisoners of the technology? I think that is what the author is saying there.
But in a sense, are we not like prisoners to a system anyway without the digitization? I mean, the thing is, everything that we consume is edited in some way. Yeah. Books, like if we try and say, okay, analog is better than digital because digital can be updated much quicker, and anybody can be an author, so anybody can publish. Whereas within the restraints of a book, right, from a novel to a fanzine, you still have the place to actually edit and create and put content out there. Why is that somewhat seen as more accurate or correct or more valuable than if it's in a digital space?
True, I agree, and I don't agree with all the opinions of that article for sure. That's probably too narrow-minded perspective on it. There's a lot of good that the digital world is bringing us. When you think about what is happening in Iran at the moment, that you are able to access these kind of movements, pictures, and news and things like that. So there is a lot of positives here still. I'm sometimes kind of like the fact that Germany by far is not as digital as other states yet. I kind of feel that you still can have your everyday life without all of the digital assets, identities, and all the hardware, all these things you will need in the near future.
So are you openly here on this channel promoting the bureaucracy of the German system?
Yeah.
I think that'll be definitely controversial.
Yeah, not really, but I mean, it's come thus far for me thinking about things like that, and that's why I wanted to discuss this with you, and also because I was just setting up my latest class at university, and I was thinking to myself, what do I teach to the young creatives, and do I give them the methods we have learned, and polished and optimized over recent years, especially in UX, meaning doing user research, these services, interviews, creating personas in order to customize products and services even more so to the people, so that they can perfectly get manipulated in order for some companies to profit from it, to sell them anything without them even knowing that they got it sold to, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So that's another kind of trigger for me to think about these things. So what do I actually teach them in the future? Maybe we should, as a design kind of field or guild, should think more about things like that. Much in a way than companies are thinking about this, much as governments have to think about it. or do we just blindly do whatever the industry is requesting us to do, and don't mean persons by that, but developments, technology that is coming through, and we already think or always think, oh yeah, let's apply this to this and that, and let's exploit this, and then put AI on top of it and whatever. And we don't reflect on it sometimes.
Yeah. I think we're also. I often think about this myself as well. Like, I've always felt like we've had a sense of responsibility as designers. I often talk with the people that I'm working with as well, we can have a certain representation, whether that's a minority or inclusivity, or however we do, or however our work includes certain tonalities or pictures, or like a certain peek or look into a certain world. We are able to craft that. We're able to we are the decision makers in that respect. And sometimes I think it's not celebrated or not pushed enough. And you're asking kind of the question, and by me saying this I'm kind of like reiterating and agreeing with you by saying that, yes, wholeheartedly, we should make those decisions. We should, especially like we're
us
talking.
Elderlies.
This is exactly where I'm getting to. We're at a stage in our career where this has gone on. It becomes more and more important. But we have gone through the stages of our career working in different like roles, to the point now where we can sit here and we can talk about that, and maybe our opinion will influence other people, and we can be in a position for people to listen, and with that comes that responsibility.
We have some responsibility, yeah. I do think so too. And we have seen technology from both sides, I guess. Like, we have both experienced a world without as much of technology as is today, and sometimes I'm really struggling seeing people walking down the street. There's, 2 to 3 people, like friends, walking down the streets, but they all just look on their phone, neck down, doom scrolling in parallel, and they don't. That's the way life is today. And then I think, okay, I used to be, building up this mobile agency or being part of a great mobile agency, and then nowadays I'm reflecting on it and thinking to myself, is this really the right thing to do? Like, to accept everything blindly, or every kind of technology that might come up, and just explore it from a creative point of view. Shouldn't we not think of it like from a broader perspective, and then try to reflect on it, criticize it a bit, maybe form some kind of some bond, some guild, some codex for us as digital creatives, in order to make the world a little bit better, or at least decrease some of the harm it has right now.
So what would that look like? There's like some kind of standards, you mean?
It could be some kind of standard, right? Maybe something like a B Corp certificate, things like that. We can invent and then apply to us as as a group, as an agency, as an individual freelancer. Must be defined, of course, what it actually, where to draw the line, but what are the jobs that we do accept and are willing to do, and maybe what not. How would we treat the projects? How would we choose on the methods? What would we look for, and should we look for?
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
could be.
I don't have an answer for that, but I think it sounds really interesting. Like you said, it was a B Corp or something that exists already.
Yes, for companies, it's a kind of certificate where they can basically prove transparency, sustainability, etc. Which I think is really nice, and you can basically more rely on the company that would do that certificate, because they have to. I think they only get it for 3 years, and then they have to reapply to get that certificate. and it's supposed to be somewhat, non-profit, etc.
I feel like, I don't know, just talking to you, it feels like you're kind of taking a hiatus somewhat from...
I'm just thinking about stuff.
Yeah, but just, I have the Into the Wild soundtrack playing in the back of my head when I'm talking to you. You've been consumed and been part of the machine, making things happen all these years, and maybe you feel like you were part of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and
indeed.
now you want to step back and see, okay,
or at least
what can I do?
rethink my ways, or our ways. Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Yeah, that's super interesting, man. And thank you for being so honest. But that also opens up the next question that I wanted to jump in a little bit, because we go even deeper into the metaverse. This is a topic that we also started talking about. We are not experts, but we definitely have an opinion. So as the topic of the metaverse starts to creep closer and closer, even though it's there, what does
it's supposed to be? Yeah.
What does nobody knows. But what does that mean?
Well, I'm for sure not an expert either myself. So I would consider the metaverse as something that in a way already exists. When you look at people getting, I don't know, sucked into games or Netflix, binge watching, things like that. So in the end, I see it as just a regular way of escapism, is it called? Right? Mm-hmm. But I think the promise is that it, can extend on it and expand on it, and then you can even stay in there for, for days, communicate in there, live your life kind of in there without coming out again. And so in a way, I think it already exists, but I'm not too sure if there is much more coming out of it than that. Of course, there's going to be new platforms. That is going to happen inevitably anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't see it as much as like something that we can already explore and access.
But I mean, how does that make you feel as well? Like we talked about this idea of, personally you're stepping away a little bit and being a bit more reflective, and you want to encourage that. But that's at a time where it becomes even more critical for people to even more so add upon their virtual personalities and actively encourage to consume or to feed even more into a virtual, into a digital space.
Absolutely.
That's got to be, from what we just talked about, quite a worrying perspective.
It goes both ways. The optimistic side of me, being a dreamer, I would love to explore any kind of new technology from a creative standpoint, and try to create something that is, breathtaking, beautiful, innovative. That's for sure. But then again, of course, I meanwhile would probably be a bit cautious here, and then would probably not tap in right away and fully. I even don't let myself use my mobile phone much these days. So I would put it down somewhere, somewhere in the room or in the house, and then leave it there and then try to forget it.
Yeah, I can also vouch for that, because we also messed up one of our meetings based on your lack of consumption, which, to somebody who's so close to my phone all the time. And I do try and take a bit more of a leaf out of your book, To Step Away. That was also very confusing. It's like, why is he not answering straight away? Why is it not, immediate? And that's what,
because we're all used to that, right? Meanwhile.
Yeah. Also, from my perspective as well, I've also been delving into the metaverse a bit as well. I was super interested, and I also see parallels from what you said, that this has been around for a long time in various guises, and now it's starting to ramp up as it builds more publicity, especially within the art community as well, through NFTs, and then also all the different spaces and the company takeovers to try and push their different versions of it. My key takeaway at the moment is that nobody really has a clue of what's happening, but people are trying to ride some kind of train. This might be controversial as well, to stay afloat or to be on top of that, to be at the forefront of something that is potentially, that might happen. Yeah.
I agree, totally agree. And we've been discussing that in the studio as well. And then there was some pros and some cons, and hey, we should do that, and we should, occupy this and that space. But yeah, I see just as you like.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, I've been an early adopter on many occasions, and I totally embrace the change and the dreamers and the people doing that. But just personally, I'm gonna just observe a little bit and see what happens.
For sure. I mean, it's going to be exciting. We are in a very special time that I do believe. So there's loads of more coming upon us. I hope that it's going to be a kind of bright, creative kind of future. So the one side of myself is kind of hoping that.
Cool. Yeah. I actually think that is a beautiful place to end this conversation on as well. We've covered quite a few topics already. Alex and I also, we tried to prepare some notes for this video before, and there is a long list of very exciting and interesting things. I hope you would come back and do this again. I think this could be a bit more of a regular thing. I think there's lots of things that we can discuss and to share with you guys as well. And if you have any opinions on the Guild, what the Metaverse is going to be or supposed to be, taking time out from the world of digital. How are you guys dealing with that? Is it something that you're interested in? Leave some comments in the comment section below. But yeah, thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much, man.
It's been awesome,
as
always.
Pleasure, always.
And you
chatting
guys,
with you, always a pleasure.
Thank you. And you guys got to come along for the ride as well. If you haven't subscribed, it helps us to continue to grow this channel. Like this video if you liked it. And as always, we will see you in the next one. Peace.